I am Megan, and welcome to Battle Royale with Cheese, the website where you can get all of your TV, film, news, reviews and trailers. And after its Oscar win for the Best Animated Feature, Flow was given a limited cinema release in the UK. Flow is a new independent animated film from Latvia, and it won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature. This is one that I have been desperate to see. It showed at London's BFI Film Festival last year. Unfortunately, tickets sold out so fast, so quickly, that I was not able to get a chance to go see it then, which was a shame, because I think that would have been amazing as well. But I saw this on a fairly small screen at my local cinema, so it did come out yesterday, but I was only just able to see it today. And then it's being shown at my local cinema until the 27th, and then it's coming off. Flow is an animated film that follows a group of animals as they explore a post-apocalyptic world where the sea has swallowed up the majority of the earth. That's kind of what this film is. This might be a really short review because this film's incredible. And I remember after the BFI Film Festival, there was a lot of reviews coming out saying that this is the best animated film ever. It's perfect, it's a masterpiece, and I was like, I'm always really cautious when films are hyped up to that degree. So I kind of went into this with not overhyped expectations, but keeping an open mind, keeping things level. Because I didn't want to hype myself up too much and possibly be disappointed, which thankfully I was not. This film is amazing. Oh my god, this film's incredible. And the first thing I want to talk about is the animation style. So this was made entirely in Blender. So Blender is a free program that's used for animations, for gaming models, like 3D modelling. And it was made entirely in that program, which for a feature film is a first. A feature film being released in cinema, it's a first. And the fact that this film was created in a program that you can get for free, I've even tried to use it, and I think I need help with that. I'm not an animator or 3D modeler at all. It was just curiosity for me. But that's an achievement in itself. The colours are vibrant, the animation style really helps make the characters like fur and feathers and fluff really look soft. It's to this film's advantage that the characters are animals, because then you can make really soft fur, fluffy feathers and all that kind of stuff, like what I was just saying. And yeah, this looks... The look of this film is incredible. I really hope they come out with an art book, because that will be really good to look at, and it'll be interesting to see the development of this film through the models in the programme. I think it'll be really interesting to look at and really interesting to see. So if there isn't one already, I hope one does get released, because I think it'll be really interesting to look at. The music is amazing, and of course this is animals, so there is no human voices, there's no human voice actors. They are all animals, they all make the animal sounds that you would expect. So the animals are a cat, which is the main character, a capybara, which, yay, capybaras getting represented in film, which is really cool, a lemur, a Labrador, there's a couple of other dogs that join later on, and this really interesting looking bird, which it looks like a white version of Kevin from Disney's Up, which is the best way I can describe it, but even then, that's not close. And this is what I also liked about the character designs as well, is that yes, you have the animals that you recognise, but there's also some really interesting birds, and the sea creatures are incredible as well. And they're sort of undescribable, they're very unique designs. But going back to my previous point, because they are animals, they don't have human voices. The filmmakers didn't opt for human voice acting or anything like that, which I think works in this favour, that's good. But what it does mean is that the music helps elevate either the tension of the situation, with this being a post-apocalyptic world. There's a lot of survival scenes that I found quite stressful and quite tense. And also when there's some funny moments, which this film does have, the music lends to that as well. So the music not only elevates these characters' personalities, but also helps with the tension or the funny moments in the film. And yeah, each character has their own unique personality as well. You know, the cat is very, like, wants to be on their own and wants to be, like, survival mode. The capybara is very much wants to eat and sleep, which is very much like me. The capybara was adorable. The lemur is obsessed with, like, trinkets and, like, shiny things. And the bird is, it kind of ends up turning into the leader because it knows how to navigate certain things. And like I said, this is also in the trailer, they end up in a boat, which the bird can easily figure out how to use. And I think in that as well, your sense of disbelief, it wasn't far-fetched enough to make it unrealistic, but at the same time, you've already gone for that unrealistic worldview when 95% of the world is underwater. And they really show, like, the dangers of that and actually how scary that is, especially in the beginning when you see the water rising very, very quickly to dangerous levels. Yeah, the film balanced out the funny moments really well, the tension, the stressful moments, very, very well. And I appreciate the decision of the filmmakers not choosing to have human voice actors to voice the characters. It makes it more authentic, and actually you very quickly care for these animals as well. Whereas I think if they had actual voice acting, I don't think it would have the same impact as it does in this format. I really, really enjoyed Flow. The animation style is incredible. The soundtrack is fantastic. The characters are lovely and wonderful. There's some very stressful moments as well as funny moments, and Flow manages to balance it all out perfectly. I can see why people are saying this is a perfect film and why this is a masterpiece. I think the only thing I'm a bit unsure about, but at the same time I get why this happened, is the ending, which I'm not going to do spoilers on this. I don't really feel it needs to, but also I want you guys to go off and watch this, so I'm not going to do spoilers, but I'm just going to say that about the ending. However, at the same time I get why it did that. Without saying what the ending was. Please support this, especially after it's won an Oscar for Best Animated Feature. Please go and support this. If it's showing in your local cinema, please go and see this. I am going to say a couple things though and give you a couple warnings. So number one, there is obviously animals in danger, so please be aware of that. This is focusing on animal characters in a post-apocalyptic world, so please be aware of that. The second one's a bit more silly. There's about 10 minutes, and I don't know if this was just for the UK release, but in my screening, the film had about 10 minutes worth of distributor and production company logos. So I'm not even joking, by the way, or not exaggerating. I timed it. So just be aware of that. But I think that's also an interesting thing to take away as well, is that clearly the filmmakers have really fought to get this off the ground, and the amount of logos that came up showed actually how many people and companies were willing to support this, to get this off the ground, to get this to have an international release of some kind. So that really is amazing. It's delightful to see. One more thing I want to bring up before I end the video, and I think this is something I was thinking about when I left the cinema. Obviously Godzilla Minus One came out a couple of years ago. That had a budget of $15 million. Flow has a budget of $3.4 million. Now, if you look at the nominations and the Oscar nominations for Best Animated Feature, a lot of them were like the big budget films and, you know, the Disneys and your Warner Brothers and stuff like that. Obviously not Warner Brothers, but like, you know, the big production companies had their nominees in there, and at a guess, a lot of these films probably had like hundreds of millions of dollars in their budget. This and Godzilla Minus One kind of proves to an extent that it doesn't matter how much money you throw at a film, people will go and see a film if it has a good story, if it has like some interesting writing or an interesting premise or like an interesting animation style. People will go and see that film. They're not going to be interested in how much you've spent on this particular film, because again, Godzilla Minus One came out as well. Loads of people went to see that. It was really successful. Flow is also really successful. I can't talk. I've been talking for ages, sorry. But that's also an Oscar winner. So my point is, I think it's an interesting thing to take away from this as well, is that, yes, while you're going to have your Marvel films, your Disney remakes, you know, Snow White has also come out today. Hardly anyone in my local cinema is seeing it. So it really kind of shows that people will turn out for something if they think it's going to be a good story, if they think it's going to look amazing or, yeah, be well written. And I think, I'm repeating myself now, but I think it is something to take away and really shows that, you know, a big budget film doesn't mean anything if people aren't going to be interested in it. Also, as I'm recording this, Disney have just announced a Coco sequel, which again, why? But it's interesting that while I'm talking about this, like, you know, Disney is still on their remakes and sequels, and DreamWorks looks to be following in a similar direction with their live action remake of How to Train Your Dragon. So it is interesting that at the same time this has come out, and this is amazing, was created using a free program and was created on a very, very low budget. In terms of filmmaking, on a very low budget. Yeah, I just thought it was really interesting, and I think there is something to be taken from this as well, from Flow's success. I loved Flow. I think it's amazing. I can definitely see why people have loved this. It definitely deserved its Oscar. Well done. Congrats. You definitely deserved it. I was also thinking, like, I think a good, like, double or triple feature with this would be this film and then 2 games. Stray is the obvious one, where you play as an orange cat in a post-apocalyptic world as well. But also, Spirit of the North is an interesting one. That's also a game as well. You play as a fox. And in terms of its animation style and its aesthetic, it's very, very similar. Story-wise is different, but aesthetic-wise it's very similar. But I couldn't help but think of that. But yeah, I loved this film so much already. It was amazing. But I was Megan. This is Battle Royale with Cheese. See you soon.